All right, welcome everyone. It's 5:05. We're going to get started here. Paul Jepsen here, head coach of Stanford, with Ned Webster, head coach of Cal. We're talking the unsettled game today, both offensively and defensively. And it's a huge topic, right? You have 2v1s all the way up to 6v5s. You have fast break situations, ground ball offense, man up, man down. Even when someone slides on defense, it really turns into an unsettled situation. So we can't go over all those scenarios, but what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a couple concepts, both offensively and defensively, that you can apply to all those situations. So defensively, I'm talking about slow playing. That's the big emphasis for me. And it's something that you can absolutely apply to all the situations I just listed. And hopefully you get something out of this. And we'll kind of keep the same format that we used over the past couple of weeks, where I'll talk about some clips, and then Coach Webster will go and he'll talk about some clips, and we'll have a back and forth discussion. And please, if you have any questions or you want to see a clip again, just throw that request in the chat room, and I'll stop and I'll answer your question, or I'll replay a particular clip that you want to see again. So here we go. We've got we've got a clip here from Ohio State, Penn State. If you were on the first webinar, you saw this clip, but I'm going to play it again because I love it, and I'm going to take a magnifying glass to this clip and talk about the slow play, because it's so important to defense, to unsettle defense. And we'll break it down here. But basically, if you're stopping the ball, right, and you have an opportunity to slow play, which is essentially when you buy time for the rest of your defense to get back in, you want to open up your hips so you can see two men. You want to play the middle, meaning between the ball carrier and the nearest off-ball man. And you want to hold off from committing to the ball carrier until you absolutely have to. We'll see here what I mean by those 3 points. And Penn State doubling the ball. This guy trips, and right here it's an unsettled situation, right? Penn State is man down. This man is literally down. He fell down. And so what we have here is this man with the task of playing two men, right? And we have the ball carrier right here. Right, you can see him, he retreats, he backpedals, right? And what that does is it buys him some time, but more than that, he opens up his hips so we can see two players. You can see the off-ball man, you can see the ball carrier. Now, granted, I don't think Ohio State's doing a great job of forcing the issue, but you can see his technique is really great. He can see two men because his hips are opened up. As soon as he flies upfield and commits to this guy, then this man will have a play right in this pocket right there. So he kind of shows himself a little bit to this ball carrier, and then he can what we call a scrape. He can scrape back to his original man, and this number 43 who's on the ground can get back into the play. Now, we see the kind of the opposite of this, right? This is Duke Syracuse national championship 2013, I believe, and it's a fast break. It's not your standard fast break, but it's an unsettled opportunity for Syracuse, and the ball is coming here down the side, and we have number 77 here, essentially in the same spot as that Penn State player. All right, so this number 77 is playing two players, and right now he's in great position because his hips are opened up to where so that he can see ball carrier and off-ball player. All right, so we take it one step forward, though. Right here, he turns his hips and points his hips towards this ball carrier, leaving this seam wide open. Right, what he could have done is this bought a little bit more time for this guy to get back by staying in that middle spot, right? But he commits a little too early. Now we have two players on the ball, and this opens up a transition opportunity, a really good look, and a goal for Syracuse. We have fast break Virginia against Princeton. This is 2 years ago. And you can see this player right here, again, exhibiting really good slow play technique. So we've got this man right here. He can see his man. His hips are opened up so he can see his man, and he's playing in between, right? So this ball carrier thinks that he's going to go and play him. He doesn't slide upfield, though, right? He just he holds his ground right here so that he can play both guys. All right, if he were to slide all the way upfield and commit to this ball carrier right now, there'd be an open look for Michael Krause on the wing. Now it does result in a goal, but it's still great slow play by this defenseman right here. Now, if we look at this off-ball defenseman, he just gets caught ball watching, right? I understand what he's doing. He's trying to come down the backside, but he needs to take a peek over his shoulder and see that skip lane. Because at this point, this defenseman's good. He's on him. This defenseman is good. He's going to come back to him. And 27 here just comes down a little bit too far. It's just a great look. We have Yale, Virginia, fast break. This is from the national championship game last year. And, we talk about slow playing and trying to show yourself and get back to your original man, but sometimes you just can't do that. And when is it time to actually turn your hips and cover the ball carrier? And that time is when the ball carrier is in shooting range. When he becomes a shooting threat and no one else has picked him up, then you have to play him. This guy, number 44, Greco for Virginia, he does a superb job of picking number 11 up at the last possible moment. He could easily have slid all the way upfield and picked him up now, but he waits till he's about 10 yards out. Sure, number 6 maybe could go play him, but I like the decision by 44 Virginia he just picks him up because 11's in shooting range. And that extra second that he bought by not sliding upfield gives 16 and 11 a chance to get in really good position. 16 can slide over here, right? And they can execute the triangular rotation that you've all practiced many times before in fast break situations. All right, so number 44, by slow playing it, really gives his teammates time to get into this great position. And it's funny, if you look at this, number 11 coming down the backside here. If you look at number 11, he gets into the same position that Princeton player just did. Right, it's really dangerous. He's got I don't recall this Yale player's name. I think it's
Jackson Morrill.
Jackson Morrill, yeah. He almost has a lane here. You can see him with a stick up, calling for it. I think at 11, he's in a good position to pick that off if he does try to throw that through. But I would still like to see him get just a peek at what's going on behind him. Right? If you don't know where the skip lane is, if you don't know where the player is behind you, then you don't know where the skip lane is. And so, again, great job by 44 of slow playing that. And then we have an example of a slide upfield, an upfield slide, which is the opposite of slow playing it. You can see how dangerous that is and what that opens up behind the defense. If there's we'll talk about it. We'll talk about the 7 deadly sins of defense. And sliding upfield is one of those 7 deadly sins. And we see this here by this North Carolina defenseman. All right. What is he? Right now he's 12 yards out, so he should be standing his ground right there. You see him pick this ball up at 15 plus yards, and it's a long pole who has it. You should really be slow playing that. So it just opens up a lot of space behind the defense. So any questions there? Any clips you want to see again? So how long do you wait when your man is behind GLE? So I think what you mean is if the ball carrier is forcing from X and you're slow playing.
Take it back. I think that question was like 7 minutes ago, so I think a few more clips back, Jep.
Okay.
Maybe right this one, maybe.
Yeah. Well, the rule of thumb is you slow play until the ball carrier becomes a threat to score, right? And I just don't see this Syracuse guy as a threat right now. And also, I think 77 can take into consideration that 91 he's recovering, and it's a really tough play. But I think a jab step towards 7 to freeze him a little bit, and then right back to your man. I think that would give 91 enough time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the answer is that the rule is you have to commit to the ball carrier when he gets into shooting range.
All good. Okay, fellas, we're going to talk some offense here, and not every scenario, in the book of unsettled offensive play is in this segment. As you can see, it's 1 minute and 22 seconds of clips. There's 7 clips, and so I tried to pick out some main points that I think will be helpful to you guys, and here we go. So the first one, this is off of a face-off. This is obviously not exclusive to a face-off guy. But as this face-off man is coming down the field, he's obviously reading the point man. He's reading the rest of the defense. Virginia's in kind of a bit of a flat break in that they have their lefty not down by GLE, but he's up on the wing. Michael Krause is a good shooter, so it forces the defense to make a decision. And Yale's game plan was to slide untraditionally. So they did a reverse break, actually. So even though this guy's showing, it's actually, I'm saying this not based off just this clip alone, but throughout the game, they were sliding from this man. And I think just to throw a little, something a little different to this face-off guy that maybe he sees in practice every day, or what he's expecting since the first day he played lacrosse, where it's always this guy in a traditional break. But as you can see, this Yale guy does a pretty good job of, maintaining that ball, and man, ball you man. And as you can see, this face-off guy does a good job of testing him. Now, what he probably doesn't see is this guy's already committed to sliding, but this guy does a good job of maybe slowing him up. But you just see this little fake gets this guy to lean in the opposite direction. And as we're coming down the field, no matter the situation, if you're in a draw situation, that little pump fake is just a really good way for this defender to show his hand. And basically this defender has communicated to the ball carrier that I respect the point attackman, the shooter, more than you. So he throws the fake, he bites on it, and the face-off guy keeps coming down. And if he didn't take that shot, obviously he could have, dished it to this guy. This attackman's a little wider than I would like. I know there's Max Ripple and some other lefties. Start to creep in, start to pinch, as we say, because throwing across your body to the outside is harder than a pass that's a little more forward, right? It's just, you just have to coil your hips less. So, the point is in that clip is to always fake the point guy. Now, as you can see here, this is a 5v5 situation, a 5v4, this being the fourth man on defense. But also this guy's trailing just enough that he's, it is somewhat of a 5v5. And at least, I know that Tufts and a lot of programs, at least the Mike Daly era at Tufts, the term that I got from them was carry. And whenever you're in a situation where it's a 4v4, obviously you can do a pass down, pick down, you can do all kinds of things. But for us, at least at Cal, we want to carry in this situation. This is, this is a 5-7-0 midi who's getting in the hole. And this is our chance for our athlete, our D midi or transition midi, our two-way midi, to utilize his strength and speed. And as you can see, he uses this rip move, which a rip move is basically keeping two hands on your stick and throwing your elbow into a smaller player to create separation. And a lot of times when we do that, fellas, when we throw that elbow to create separation, we just want to plant our feet and rip it. And as you can see, this Virginia guy gets a little greedy right here and just keeps going. I mean, he actually drew 3 defenders. And if we back it up, what I want to focus on, and Coach was talking about slow playing, is watch 31. He's sideways, right? So he's got that ball you man relationship going on. And as I'm carrying down the field, if I'm, an LSM or whoever, I'm reading this guy, right? And I'm reading his hips specifically. Okay. And the moment that he is no longer sideways, he's no longer sideways at this point. He is opened up. And again, I'd like to see Michael Krause start to pinch more. It's kind of an optical illusion, but he's getting a little too close to GLE. He should be creeping in where this guy can just dump it to him and he can get a layup or a one more to the back post. But this is maybe a reason why Coach doesn't trust you on offense if you're going to try to run through 3 guys when you got 2 attackmen wide open. So reading that D guy's hips. A C cut. So a C cut is when you honestly, you just make a little bit of a C cut. It's a C shape. So as we back it up just a tiny bit, you'll see Matt Brandow, the Yale attackman, starting to clear through another carry situation. So he's probably yelling carry or whatever the Yale terminology is to just run by this guy. Number 4 is a big, strong, athletic midi. And as Matt Brandow gives him the alley, notice where he stops his C cut on the near post. Now, obviously, there's a reason for that, and that's something that I teach my attackmen as well, middies, whoever's on this wing, because if we go far post, just making it easier on these D guys, right? And Coach Jep and all these D coaches are yelling at guys to get in the pipeline, get in the paint off ball, and you can see all three of these guys are not in the paint. This guy kind of is, but not in a position that's close enough to be covering Matt Brandow right here. So C cutting to the near post. Who's going to slide? This guy's man. Nobody absorbs him on the backside, and he does a good job of following his slide into space. You can read, draw when the D-man is behind you. What does that mean? So if we back it up, you can see how we got into this 5v4 situation. Bit of a suspect sub right here by Virginia, subbing off, and Duke has a man advantage for a moment, a 5v4. Now right here, a lot of coaches are like, move it, we got numbers, but as you can see, and I'm going to show this twice, you can see what happens. This guy moves it. He moves it, does a good job of following the pass, but just gives the D enough time to sub in, right? So what I mean by draw when the D is behind you is, if you're coming down on fast break or whatever in this situation, this probably isn't a good move for this pass to be made, because if I'm 23, I'm probably not going to throw it back to the man who now has a defender coming on his back. This is a draw situation. So he should be in, gapping, it's a basketball term, getting between these defenders, making one of them commit, and then he can read the situation. It might be a skip down low, or more likely just an adjacent pass for a step down or a one more. But he kind of kills it by moving it, right? Does a good job of escaping pressure, maintaining possession, as we like to say. It's a win or draw, right? It's not a win or lose. It's a win or draw. We're either going to score or we're going to maintain possession. Pass back. This was a clip that Coach Jep showed earlier. Pass back when the D follows the ball. So when the D goes ball to ball, and we're focused on this defender right here, he's covering him, and then he'll go to ball. We just pass it right back to get the defense to rotate, right? So he's covering ball, and this guy's just too concerned. He's too man-conscious, focused on 13 to realize, and this guy's probably not even telling him either, that it's going to be a wheel situation, and that guy just steps in and rips it. Being a threat. So we talk about, getting that stick and shooting position, but really being a threat right here. This is Jackson Morrill again, running hard at the goal to be a threat. And his stick is up by his ear. He looks like he might step in and rip it. And notice how no one is sideways at this point. 11's committed. 16's not seeing his man. I don't know where he's thinking he's going to go. There's nobody over here. But if he had just kind of jogged in and had his stick down by his hip, 11 probably could have slow played this. But the fact that he committed, the fact that 15 was looking like he might shoot, 11 commits, 44, a good off-ball assist, as we say. He's cutting into space to draw 22 with him and allows space for this trailer to step in and rip. Okay, so that body language of, I'm about to rip it, to draw the defense out, to get them not sideways. This is 1989. This is Gary Gate with the ball and Dave Petramala chasing him. So a little lacrosse history lesson for you guys. And I'm going to show this twice. But the concept that I just talked about of an off-ball assist. This is Gary Gate. He is arguably the best player to ever play. Again, best defender to ever play. But we're focused on the orange team right here. And watch Gary Gate. He probably could have a carry situation right here. He probably could just blow by this midi. But he gives it up, and watch what he does. He cuts, draws defenders, and his brother Paul Gate steps in and rifles one. Let's see it again. Look how fast Gary Gate is for 220. Let's see it one more time. Being a good teammate. We preach selflessness, right? It's not all about you scoring goals. What if Gary Gait had just stopped? What if he gave it up and just stopped right here? This guy would have stayed with him. Dave Petramalo would have picked up Paul Gait and nothing. But by cutting, expending energy, I think a lot of times we don't cut and move purposefully off ball because we don't want to waste our energy for when we do have the ball, right? It's just selfish. We need to be moving constantly. If you're not moving, then you're doing something wrong, as my high school coach always said to me. But he absorbs 2 defenders for Paul Gait to step in and rip. Now, why? This is something that we have a name for at Cal. This certain play, we'll call it in transition. But why do we like this trailer look right here? It's the same reason that the Golden State Warriors were so good at, because you shoot better off the pass than you do off the dribble or off the dodge in our case, right? You shoot at a higher percentage off the pass. And goalies are worse. They have a lower save percentage off the pass as well. They can track a dodger much better than all of a sudden their eyes are top right and now it's top left, and am I in the cage, and holy smokes, this guy got out of his stick quick. Okay, so this is a great play. Cutting hard if you're the first guy down the field to absorb the D and leave. Look at all this space for a powerful lefty to rip it. And Quint Kessenich was quoted as saying that Paul Gait ripped that shot that he did not see. So he didn't even have time to see it. Any questions? I know I just kind of plowed through a lot, but any questions? Let's see, we got some. Okay.
If you go back to, could you go back to the Loyola Penn State clip? I thought there was something interesting there.
Sure.
From the defensive perspective. So I feel like this kid, if you pause it right there, the defenseman, he stops the ball, and then he goes ball to ball, right? So he goes from 5 to 18, but at this point, if he were to go back to 5, that would be going from ball to ball to ball. And, defensively, we had a rule at Duke and at Cal and now at Stanford. You can go ball to ball, but you never want to go ball to ball and back to ball. It's way too much movement for one man to do. And I think you mentioned it, Webb, but as soon as this pass is thrown back, this guy's got to wheel or rotate. Number 10 here has got to rotate on the backside into the ball. Yeah, it's number 10.
Yeah.
He's got his back to the ball now. He doesn't know what's going on. It's also a deadly sin. Never turn your back to the ball on defense.
But as you can see, again,
it
guy
was
goes
a pretty
ball
good
to
job
ball.
of slow playing by that one.
Yeah, he's doing a great job of slow playing. And actually the goalie, I'm not going to show it, but the goalie afterwards patting his chest like, I got to have this shot from 16. But, the reason we go ball to ball is to force a rotation, right? And the rotation now is going to be coming this way. Okay, so 10 should be coming over. This guy should be coming up. This guy should be starting to get over to this post in case the ball does move this way. But, this guy rips it, but actually it really should be a 1 more to 13 and maybe even a layup, a dunk to one of the best attackmen to ever play, Pat Spencer. But
yeah,
they'll take it. Let's see. Any other questions, fellas? Coach Jep, any points on your end?
No, I thought that was great. I thought the point about creating space, off-ball players creating space is so important and undervalued. You said Goddard there, the Yale number 44, and then Gary Gait doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you call it the off-ball assist, and the off-ball assist isn't recognized enough in our game.
Mm-hmm.
And that, in those two instances, the goal wouldn't have been scored if they didn't create space for their teammates. Yeah, great points.
So now the question is, all right, coach, well, coaches, good points, and hopefully you got something out of it, but how am I going to practice this? And honestly, if anybody's ever come to our camps or clinics, 3x3 lacrosse is, I think, one of the best ways to get soft hands, but also to read those 2v1 situations, and offensively to find those 2v1s to test the defender, whether he's slow playing, or test him with a fake, or step in like you're going to shoot it and then draw him and then you dump it. And defensively, it's really outstanding practice for slow playing, because you're constantly in a 2v1 or 3v2 situation. So I recommend getting a 3x3 goal. You don't need pads. With how people have been, society's been loosening up a little bit on, the whole virus situation. You can get 5 other buddies and play. You could even have 4 buddies. I saw a guy, Jamie Monroe, the former Denver coach, does a lot of things like this. And he has 2 daughters and a son, and they play 2x. So they basically just say that on one side it's going to be a 2v1, and the other defender's in the goal. So you can only keep it on that one side of the field. So if you're really, scrapping for players and buddies to play, then even if you have 4, you can still get something out of it and have some fun.
Yeah. And not to mention the communication component from a defensive perspective. There's a lot of that going on in 3x.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and if you're unfamiliar, just YouTube it. It's basically half-court hoops. No full-blown shots, no crank shots, no hard checking, which is great for defense because you're more focused on your voice and your body positioning and your hips and getting sideways. So yeah, it's I wish I could play right now, actually.
Sooner
cool.
enough.
Any thoughts for next week, fellas? Any ideas, recos? Okay. Any parting words, Coach Jep?
I'd say that we're coming up on a time when, hopefully, knock on wood, we'll be able to get out there and play. But in the meantime, just stay disciplined, stay in shape. I know, we all want to get out there and play and coach, and I think the best thing we can do in the meantime is stay in shape. You can do that. Keep watching film, and it definitely will improve your game. So, yeah.
Right on. All right, fellas. Well, 40 minutes. Didn't take up too much of your time. Hopefully you got something out of it. If you have any questions that you're not comfortable in this forum asking, feel free to reach out to us, and we're always happy to talk lacrosse with you in life. And, obviously we won't get too political right now. It's not political. It's, just the current situation in the country is sad. And I've been grappling with my own thoughts about how to do more and how to support those less privileged than myself. And, I think that's, in a weird way, it's hard to say this in light of everything that's happening, but I do think that this has been a silver lining to the virus, is that we're all less distracted from the injustice and able to focus on it, and not just turn our heads like it's been going on for decades and generations and more than a century. So just do your part and listen and just be good people and do what's right. So
Well said.
well, keep being good people and smile and love your parents.
Thanks for
and
joining.
see you guys soon.
All right.
See you guys.